right, everyone, and welcome back for this market's recap. So, the name of this market was Makers Manifest Mother's Day Market, and it was on May 10th. It went from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on a Sunday on Mother's Day. And yeah, so I'm not going to ramble in the beginning. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to hop right into it. All right, if you're seeing me in the same area, in the same setup, I decided to go ahead and record this recap out here as well. So, the day of the market, I ended up coming downstairs at 8 o'clock, and it was a huge mistake because I had so many stuff that I had to bring from upstairs down here to get into the Uber. It took me and my sister about 20 minutes to get everything downstairs. So instead of me arriving like I had planned at 8:30 for the market, I ended up arriving at 9 o'clock, probably about 2 minutes after 9. And we had to be there between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Well, 9:30 to be set up for the market that started at 10. Now, the good thing about it was when I arrived, they allowed the Uber to come into the space so that I can unload everything because I had a lot of stuff. As you saw, I had 2 crates, the tent, the table, the wagon, and my bins with my products, and a black duffel bag and a big bag that had the Mother's Day gift sets in there. Now, they allowed us to come in. We talked to the officer there. He opened up the barrier and we are allowed to come into the space so I can quickly unload. The problem happened when the Uber driver tried to get out and there was a little mini traffic jam there. So it was complete chaos. I had to maneuver all my stuff to my spot because I wasn't completely in front of it. I was probably about 2 or 3 spaces down, but I was able to unload everything in front of my vendor friend Kim's booth, no problem, and then just roll and bring everything to my spot. So the table itself, all the products and everything were set up by 9:50, but I still had to put up the wall. I had to put up put the stuff into the 2 crates, which is now my checkout station moving forward. And I had to put all the signs out. So all the knickknacks that I usually do at the end. My thing is I want to make sure that I have all the products on the table. So even if I'm not fully set up, I still am displaying something because people are going to be walking by regardless of what's going on. So I want to make sure that the products are definitely out there so that people can see it. So by 10:15, I was all set up and ready to go. I ended up getting a gentleman that came to the table, him and his friend, wanting to purchase a diffuser for a friend in a different state. And we got to chatting, and I had him go ahead, and because he didn't want to carry it with him and he was really going to package the diffuser by himself, but I said I could package it for him and ship it out, no problem. And seeing as he was at the market, he used the QR code, he gets the free shipping, he doesn't have to worry about the shipping. And he ended up taking the QR code down, and I don't know if he's going to make the purchase, but at least I gave him the options for it. So that happened just as I was still setting things up. Now, as far as the weather went, it was cloudy when I first came out. There was chances of rain in the morning, and by the time I got there, it was still cloudy. The sun was trying to peek out, but the good news was it wasn't cold. It wasn't extremely warm or hot or anything. It just wasn't cold. It was nice and comfortable, so it was perfect. Now, what's different between this one and the one I did previously is that the one previously was in more of a residential area. This one was near Lincoln Center. So it's a lot of people that are coming to see the show there because they were doing the festival that day. And Also, it's a bit touristy, so people aren't really local for the most part. Some of them were, but a good amount of them weren't. So that was one of the differences between this market and the market before. Oh, and before I go any further into this recap, let me just quickly talk about the market that I didn't do the day before. So I had a market scheduled for May 9th. It was from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It was going to be in Brooklyn at Old Stone Park. I was so excited because I had did Old Stone last year and did very well there and actually enjoyed myself there. And what happened was on Friday, they ended up sending an email out saying that they were going to call it for that day because it was supposed to be a lot of rain and thunderstorms that day. So they called it, but the rain date was the next day. And I had already been booked before this one with Makers Manifest. So I had to make the decision of not going to that rain date market. I had people that could have filled in, but I didn't have the setup because unlike the previous time, both of these markets were outdoors. I needed a tent for both and a table for both and chairs for both. And only one market I was able to rent that stuff from. Old Stone, you can't really rent any of that stuff. You have to bring it on your own. So that is the main reason why I wasn't able to cover both markets that day. And I ended up missing out on the vendor fee because there is no refunds, unfortunately. So I ended up missing out on that vendor fee and losing that money for that day. But I did make it to Makers Manifest Market instead. And yeah, I wish they did rentals because if they did rentals, I could have sent my sisters to cover that one. I had plenty of product to cover both. I just didn't have the setup for it. And it was last minute and a lot of stuff went wrong all because of the weather. So I was kind of hoping maybe they would push the rain date to this weekend, but they did not. So, long story short, ended up missing that one, ended up losing out on money, and ended up doing this market that I'm doing the recap for. All right. Now, before I talk about my first sale, let's talk about the crowd. So, the crowd was definitely there. It started to pick up as the hours went, of course. In the very beginning, there was a few people walking here and there, but they were mostly browsing. I had a lady next to me who sold apparel, and then on the other side of me, they sold jewelry. So I was smack dab in between the two. And then my vendor friend Kim, she was further down on the same street as me. So where we depending on where you came from, whether you came from Broadway or from 64th Street, we were on the tail end of Broadway and 64th. So if you came from that way, we were the start. If you came from the other way, we were the end of the market. And we had our own little section like the last street fair that we did. So the crowd was definitely there, but most of them were there to just browse and to look around. It wasn't really a seller's crowd. It was more of out of towners that were there just looking and browsing. And I didn't get my first sale until I wrote it down. I didn't get my first sale until 11:48 a.m. And usually I get my first sale within the first hour of us starting the street fair. So it was definitely a slow market on Sunday. Now by 1:35, I ended up getting my third sale of the day. So I did get two before then. They were very small. One was a car diffuser. The other one was a travel room spray. But this gentleman came up. He ended up buying two of my 8-ounce candles. And I instantly knew right then that I made the mistake as far as how much inventory I bought because I had Mother's Day gift sets where you could buy a mug that I made previously, the design, and I ended up purchasing some of the samples. Samples look great, so I was going to put them in a Mother's Day gift set and sell them alongside my 8-ounce candle. And you get to choose at the market what scent you want it with what mug. So I displayed the mugs, and I have one display gift set on the table so that people can see how it looks. And I ended up bringing not enough 8-ounce candles. I bought enough of Calming and Sunday, but the rest of them, I thought I did. I wrote it down in my book how many to bring with me and completely forgot to package the extras. So when this gentleman came by and he ended up buying two of the 8-ounce candles. One was a Sunday walk candle and the other one was a relaxing shore side. That's when it dawned on me that I did not bring enough inventory of the 8-ounce candles. So instead of panicking, what I did was I took them off the table and I ended up putting the rest of the smaller candles there. I honestly cannot wait until I finish these other scents. Then I'll be able to fill up that shelf and not really bring the 8 ounces as much because they don't sell as much as the smaller ones do. So, but that's besides the point. So I ended up taking the 8-ounce candles and putting them on the wagon behind me. That way, if someone purchased a Mother's Day gift set, I have the 8-ounce candles to fill it. So that was my fault. That was on me for not packing enough of the 8-ounce candles like I was supposed to. So a couple of things, as always, I always end up meeting people, new people at the markets. I ended up meeting Sam or Samantha without the T, Samantha. I ended up meeting her, and she sells sourdough pastries as well as breads and rolls. And I ended up buying a sourdough cinnamon roll from her. I have yet to taste it, but I probably will eat it today, and I'll let you all know how it tastes in the next video. But I ended up purchasing that from her. And then Millie's Empanadas was also there, so I got to talk to her a little more. She was at the previous market, but she sold out so fast at that market that I didn't get a chance to really walk over there and chat with her. So we ended up having a nice conversation together. And then of course, vendors that I already knew were there. I met my vendor neighbor that was next to me who sold the apparel. We ended up speaking the majority of the market. And then, just a couple of other people when I walked around, introduced myself to some of them and just chat and did some networking, get to know people. And then also I had a subscriber come by. So one of you came by, Stacy, and she brought her daughter with her. I chatted about it a little bit in the market video, but it is always pleasant to see you all come by and see me at the markets and say hello and get to meet the people who are watching these videos. And then also I met another lady from Florida. Her name escapes me. I am so bad with names, so great with faces, but she stopped by. She ended up buying a car diffuser, and she's one of the people who was asking questions about how they work because the one she had is not working well. So we had a discussion on how to properly use them, and she bought two from me. And then we started talking about events in Florida, and she gave me some people to be in contact with. So it is something to think about. I really do want to do other stuff outside of New York City, but I got to get some things in order first in order for me to do those things. But it is always nice to talk to new people. I think the markets and street fairs are great for meeting others and getting to chat with people that you probably wouldn't chat with if you were just walking down the street with them side by side or past them. So it was nice meeting everyone there. So yeah, that's always fun to be able to chat with people And this is coming from somebody who is an introvert, is shy. I don't do a lot of talking as is, believe it or not, but it is exciting to like chat with people at the markets, and it helps me build my confidence even more and come out of my shell even more. So it's always good. Now going back to the weather was definitely up and down. So there was parts where it was cloudy, there was parts where it was sunny, and then there was parts where it rained and it rained towards the end of the market. The plus side was it wasn't like a complete downpour. It was more of a drizzle at the start, and then it was like a little steady drizzle going on. So it wasn't too bad. However, my tent was wet, and by the end of the night, when I got back here, I ended up taking the tarp off because it was too late to go to the storage unit to drop it off. So I had to bring it upstairs, took the tarp off, and it finally dried today. So it's Tuesday when I'm recording this, and it took all of Monday to completely dry. So now I have to bring it back down here and put it on and check the frame because I think the frame is still wet. But the weather wasn't that bad. Now as far as the market goes, the market was slow. It was very slow. It was a little bit on the disappointing side. For my second market of the season, yeah, it was so slow. And the crowd just wasn't the buying crowd like the previous market. They really, like I said, they really were just there to browse. I ended up bringing most of my inventory back, and I had 6 Mother's Day gift sets. I ended up bringing 5 of them back. I sold the one to the little girl. I told the story earlier, and I packaged it up real nicely for her so that she could give it to her mom for Mother's Day. And the crazy thing is, had that market the day before not get rained out, I probably would have sold all of them the day before. But the day of, I was a little iffy about bringing them, and I ended up bringing them anyway and ended up selling just one. All right, so I'm back upstairs because it was really starting to get cold on my hands. And once my hands get cold, everything else gets cold on me. So I'm upstairs to finish up the recap for the Mother's Day market that I did on Sunday. Now, as I was saying before, it was definitely not going well. And I wasn't the only one who felt that way. I think the majority of the makers, vendors that was there was feeling that way also. Let me mute that. But was feeling that way also, that the market wasn't going well for us. It wasn't a good market for a lot of us there. And that day, I felt like I just had 6 interactions, 6 sales that day. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Between losing the money the day before and now this and not getting that vendor feedback, it's like this weekend should have made me more, probably doubled what I made the last market. But it just didn't work out that way. So let's go ahead and let's hop right into how many sales I made for the day and how much money I took home. So as far as the sales go, I made 10 sales for the day. It really, really didn't feel like it. It felt like I made probably about 5 or 6. And the total gross for the day was $264.55. So I didn't really talk about it, but what I'm doing now is I'm bringing more gift sets and bundles to the markets so that I can hopefully sell more of those. And I'm cutting out certain products that are not going to be at the markets. So I ended up getting the boxes for my holiday candles last year, and they did very well, especially the winter sets. They did very well. So I figured I could use those same boxes for my comfort collection, and when I finish my other candles, my smaller candles, they too will be collections as well at the markets and fairs. So I ended up putting my 4-ounce comfort collections into those boxes, and now you can customize and get the scents that you want in them instead of having them already picked, whereas to the other two collections will be pre-picked, but you can also do it customized. I know I'm giving a lot of information here, but I'm excited because I spent all of January and February mapping out all of this stuff that I want to do different for this year's markets. And that is one of them. I want to bring the gift sets to the table. But I ended up selling one of those, and then I ended up selling the mug. And that was pretty much it. That was the big sellers of the day. There was no, I think I sold the 2 big candles and then 1 small candle. And I'm pretty shocked that a day like that, where it was nice and warm, that nobody really bought the diffusers. I sold 1 diffuser to Stacy. They ended up buying the Calm Linen Breeze one, and that was pretty much it. There was a little miscommunication with my Uber driver coming home. I didn't get home that night until around 8 o'clock because I kept having, once I was all packed up and ready to go, the vendor lady next to me, she ended up helping me to the corner. And now thinking about it, what I didn't realize was I was in the crosswalk. So on the sidewalk, but with the crosswalk there. And the drivers, they can't stop in the crosswalk. Even with the permission from NYPD, they can't stop in the crosswalk. So they kept pulling past, and I was on the side of this construction site. And once she left, it was just me, so I couldn't like roll everything with me. So long story short, the Uber driver, I asked him after 3 others gave up on me. I asked him if he can park the car and walk back and help me roll the rest of the stuff back. And after going and arguing back and forth with him, because he's trying to tell me that he can't park in the crosswalks, and I'm trying to tell him, can you just come help me roll the stuff back? He finally got out of the car. He finally came back and helped me roll everything up there. At that time, I was just so frustrated, so tired, so disappointed in not the market so much, although I was, but disappointed that that every Uber driver kept canceling instead of working with me. That I took out my frustrations on him. I ended up apologizing because that's not me. I don't like to be confrontational, but when I do, because it's just human nature to outburst, I often correct myself and I apologize after seeing the situation a lot clearer. Apologize to him. We ended up having a little conversation going, and then he did help me bring the stuff out of the car, out of the back of his car, and unload it for me. I ended up giving him a free car diffuser because I felt bad. It wasn't his fault, really, looking back at it. It was where I was situated at. I ended up getting home at 8 o'clock. I didn't get all the stuff upstairs until about 8:30. And then by 10 o'clock, I was finally in bed after eating a late dinner and taking a shower. I was ready to be out for the whole day of Monday. So that was the experience of the whole day. Now, overall, I think as far as the grading goes, I would say the weather was probably about a B. I'd give the weather a B because the weather, while it was cloudy at times and it did look like the skies were going to open up and shower down on us, it was good up until the last hour when it started to rain, and it was a light rain. It wasn't anything crazy. And then as far as the crowd goes, I'll give the crowd a C. And it's because it wasn't like the people weren't there. It's just that they weren't the type of crowd that was looking to purchase. And then the overall, I would give probably about a D. While I did make my vendor fee back, I didn't make my transportation back. In the other market, I made vendor fee, transportation back, and had a little profit over. So it wasn't what I expected. Now, will I sign up for this one again? I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to sign up for this one. And usually I give things another try before I fully say no to them. But this one, I definitely won't be signing up to again. She has other locations that work a lot better than this one for me. So I won't be signing up to this one. It's just too much of a touristy spot. And it's not like there's people over there, but where I was at the previous location, there is a ton of people always walking through there. But I did take away some things from it. Of course, there's always the moments of meeting new people. There's always the moments of having subscribers come up and chat with you and meet with you. And then there's always people who enjoy the aesthetic of the table, of my products, and offer opportunities. So there's, to me, so far, there's only been one market that really was a complete miss as far as everything goes. But I always take away something from each of them. So that is pretty much it for this recap. It was a complete night and day from the other one I did. I wish the weekend would have turned out a lot better. I wish the other market wasn't rained out and I could have seen how well I did there, because I did pretty damn good the last time and last year, and I really wanted to return back to the one. This one, it wasn't the best, and I won't be returning back to this one. But that is, again, pretty much it for this market recap here. My cat is crying at the door because he's ready for his treats for the day. But I am going to wrap it up. I hope you all enjoyed this recap. I feel like it was a little unorganized and not like my other ones, and I just rambled on. So my apologies for not having it more structured. But if you like this video here, you enjoyed the recap, then go ahead and hit that like button, as well as share and comment down below. And if you haven't already, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as well as that notification bell, so that you can be notified when the next new video comes out. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and probably edit this recap portion here. I'm actually liking my editing schedule now, where I'm not so overwhelmed and it's broken down a little more, so that's great. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and edit this part here. Oh, before I close out this video, I just wanted to say that the checkout station did make it on this table here. It's in the DIY video. I talk about it even more there, but I'm happy to have that addition to the table. There are some things that are, well, one thing that is missing from the setup for this year. But yeah, it is there, and I was very, very pleased to have it this market, and I'm pleased to have it moving forward. But with that being said, go ahead and check out that DIY video and how I designed, well, how I came up with it and put it together. I'm not a DIY person in that format, but it was nice to do that project by myself, even though it was very small, and I did have a little bit of assistance from my sister. So if you haven't, go ahead and check that out. I'll put the card up here somewhere so you all can see how I pieced it together. And with that being said, because I feel like I'm rambling again, with that being said, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week, and don't forget to show yourself a little more appreciation. So until next time, this is Tammy saying, take care, everyone.